Hey everyone, Mrs. Ragstad here. I am here with video number 86 that will be teaching us how to do the factor label method with the metric system. So previously, if you've gotten this far, you are already well versed in how to convert from US customary units into metric units and vice versa using conversion factors such as 2.54 centimeters equals 1 inch. And for those kinds of conversions, the factor label method is the only way to do it. However, there are times when it is useful to use the factor label method with conversions that only involve the metric system. And one of those reasons would be that, let's see if I can change this here. One of those reasons would be that we do multi-step conversions. So sometimes we're going to be converting miles per hour to meters per second and things like that. Or we're going to have like milliliters into liters and then into gallons. And in those cases, you need to include part of your factoring, your multiple steps, using the factor label method, even though you're going from a metric unit to a metric unit. Okay, so even though the King Henry Dyed method is easier, there are going to be times when the factor label method is easier. And so in order to do this well, there are some other conversions that you probably need to memorize. Okay, oh, I figured out how to do this. That square was annoying me, you guys. Like, that's not how it's normally supposed to be. There we go. Now I'm back to the circle. That's what I'm used to. Okay, figured it out. So here are some of the most common conversion factors that you're going to need to memorize. And I am going to have you do another quizzes in order to practice this. Okay, so the first one is that you have 1,000 millis, and I put a little apostrophe S there because it's 1,000 milli somethings, 1,000 milliliters, 1,000 milligrams, 1,000 milli whatevers equals 1 base unit. So for example, 1,000 milliliters equals 1 liter. 1,000 milligrams equals 1 gram. And so if you look back at the King Henry chart, you'll see that the milli is 3 spaces over from the base unit because it has 3 zeros. So that makes sense. Okay, let's see what our next one is. Another one you should memorize is that 100 centiliters, centigrams, centimeters equals 1 base unit. Okay, so for example, 100 centimeters equals 1 meter. Another example is that 1,000 of a base unit equals 1 kilo whatever, 1 kilo unit. For example, 1,000 grams equals 1 kilogram. 1,000 liters equals 1 kiloliter. And this is one that people can sometimes get confused because milli is 1,000 is 3 spaces away from the base unit, but so is kilo, just in the other direction. And because a kilogram is bigger than a gram, a kilogram is probably, it's how much your hydro flask weighs when it's filled with water. Okay, so it's kind of heavy. It's not that heavy. A gram is probably like less than this pen weighs. Maybe more like a pencil would be the mass of a gram. So 1,000 of these weighs as much as the hydro flask filled with water. Not the other way around. It doesn't make the sense the other way around, right? You wouldn't say that 1 pencil equals 1,000 hydro flasks filled with water. Because remember, a conversion factor, they need to be equal on either side. That's why these are equal here, okay? So here's another one. 1,000,000 micro units, or micro whatevers, equals 1 base unit. And that's because the micro symbol, remember this is the Greek letter mu here, is 6 spaces away from the base unit. And that's 6 zeros, which is a million. So 1,000,000 microliters equals 1 liter. That's worth remembering. And then 1,000,000 base units equals 1 mega unit. For example, 1,000,000 grams equals 1 megagram, where mega is the capital M. So I asked, did you notice any patterns? And I kind of gave that away a little bit already, because both mega and micro are equally far from the base unit. They're both 6 powers of 10 away, or a million. And because the micro makes it 1,000,000 times smaller, we will say 1,000,000 microliters equals 1 liter. But because the mega unit is 1,000,000 times bigger, you have to say there's a lot of little ones in one big one. That's what I like to tell myself to remember. So there's 1,000,000 base units, or 1,000,000 grams in 1 megagram. Or there's 1,000,000 liters in 1 megaliter. Or there's 1,000,000 bytes in 1 megabyte if you're a computer person. Okay, so let's try some examples. How would this look in a factor label problem? So let's say I have 30 kilograms and I want to convert that into grams. Okay, now I know some of you can do that in your head because of King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk, but just bear with me because there will be times when you need this. So I'm going to write the quantity that I'm given. I'm going to put parentheses here, and if you need to, when you get good enough at this, you can skip this step, but if you need to, you're going to write a conversion factor over here that relates grams and kilograms. So I have to ask myself, what's my conversion factor from the previous slide? And the answer is 1,000 grams equals 1 kilogram, because 1,000 base units equals 1 kilo unit. Okay, so then I'm going to take this conversion factor and I need to put it into this fraction. And it's either going to go this way or this way, depending on what unit this is. And because this is kilograms, it means I need to take my conversion factor and go this way where the kilograms are on the bottom. So 1 kilogram goes on the bottom and 1,000 grams goes on the top. And the reason I'm doing that is so kilograms can cancel. And remember, we're multiplying fractions. So if it helps you to put your first number over 1 to remind you that it is a fraction and you're multiplying it, when you have two fractions together with parentheses, that means multiplication, if you haven't heard that before. So there's 3 ways we can indicate multiplication. We can use an X. Once you get far enough along in algebra, we kind of get away from the X there. You can use a dot, or you can use parentheses. And numbers next to each other in parentheses, like right here, mean multiplication. Okay, so now I'm going to multiply by every numerator and divide by every denominator. So I can have 30 times 1,000 divided by 1 divided by 1. You can ignore the ones because they don't change anything. So 30 times 1,000, I'm just going to count up the zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's going to be 30,000 grams. And that is what you would expect, right? Because 30 kilograms is as much mass as 30 hydro flasks filled with water. I don't know. I saw Mr. Bennett out there cleaning out the racks yesterday with all the lost and found. There could have been 30 kilograms worth of water bottles left out there. Just saying. Okay, and that weighs a lot. That's 30,000 grams. That's like 30,000 pencils. That's the equivalent. Not the other way around. Okay, we would not expect 30 kilograms to equal a tiny number of grams. Not happening. All right, let's try one more. So I'm going to do 500 millimeters into meters, but I'm going to do it by factor label method. So 500 millimeters, here's my parentheses. Now when you get good enough, you can put your conversion factor right here, but when you're starting out, it's helpful to have this aid, and you're going to write a conversion factor over here that relates millimeters to meters. And so from my previous slide, or from my memorization, I can remember that 1,000 milli anythings equals 1 base unit. So 1,000 millimeters equals 1 meter. And then I need to put that over here into the conversion factor. And the question is, am I going to do it this way or this way? And the answer to that is whatever unit is here goes on the bottom. So this time I'm going this way, where the 1,000 millimeters is on the bottom and 1 meter is on the top. And the reason for that is I want this to cancel. Okay, now I'm going to multiply by every numerator and divide by every denominator. Because the 1,000 is in the denominator, it's going to turn into division. So 500 divided by 1,000. Okay, mathematically speaking, I can like cancel out zeros. So then it turns into 5 divided by 10, which is equal to 0.5. Okay, now could you have done that with the King Henry died method? Yes, you could have. You could have taken that decimal point and said, okay, milli to the base unit, here's a decimal point, 1, 2, 3. And the decimal point goes there. You get the same answer either way. True. But in our next video, we're going to start doing multiple of these conversion factors in the same problem, and then you're going to need to know how to use these metric ones. Okay, so you'll have a worksheet to do, a quizzes first, you need to get 100, and then a worksheet, and then a mastery check. Have a great day.